It's Friday, October 21st, 2011. We've got globalist apologist Jamie Bartlett joining us from London. At the end of the transmission tonight, we have the head of Euro-Pacific Capital exposing Herman Cain's 9999 plan, and then some. Peter Schiff. It's jam-packed this evening, but first, let's get into some of the news. Well, nothing like having a chicken-necked globalist like Hillary Clinton, who flies around in armored Air Force 3s, making jokes and requoting and butchering Julius Caesar quotes of "I came, I saw, I conquered." She said basically, "We came, we saw, he's dead." And she magically arrived right on time for the killing of Gaddafi. They say they're going to bury him at sea. Lord knows if any of this is true. I mean, when you have a group of congenital liars telling you something, you would be a fool to believe them. But the video does look pretty convincing of him being murdered. And I'm no fan of Gaddafi, but he's a small-time globalist, crime syndicate, thug, tyrant, whatever you want to call it, and did try to actually build up Africa. As tyrants go, he's nothing compared to somebody like Hillary Clinton. And we all saw Forrest Gump hang out with President Kennedy. That was decades ago, and I'm telling you, folks, Forrest Gump isn't real, and that was a fraud as well. So let's go to this short clip of Hillary and the CBS News harpy. That's not fair. She's not a harpy. She's more of a banshee, joking about his death.
So, I mean, that is the land of unconfirmed.
Yes, we came, we saw, he died.
Did it have anything to do with your visit?
No, oh, I'm sure it did.
You'll die too, Hillary. And I wish no harm upon you. I want you to live out a long life with all your evil. Anybody that has to basically gloat over people's deaths who you set up and who the West got to come in out of the cold and invest with Western companies and with Sarkozy of France and the leader of England as well, Tony Blair, and now you've cheated him and stolen tens of billions of dollars of the Libyans' money. And well, let's actually go to some of that news. Gaddafi's been killed without a trial, and we've also now have the before and after photos that we'll show you in a moment. There's a bunch of these online. Every major city of Libya that have the highest standard of living now in Africa has been absolutely decimated. There's one before and after photo, 2007 versus 2011. I mean, look at that wrecked city of Misrata. And now the globalists will come in with our tax money and give it to globalist private corporations to rebuild it, the very people that destroyed it. So very dangerous development in globalism where they fund rebels, Al-Qaeda in this case, to overthrow a country, wreck the nation, and then they have a Nobel Peace Prize winner doing it. So it's supposedly all wonderful. But as I said earlier, we don't know if he was killed. We don't know if he was executed earlier in Central Africa when U.S. Special Forces invaded Uganda last week. We don't know the truth. Now they claim they're burying him at sea, just like Osama bin Laden, and we know that that report was a fraud. And now the vast majority of the sailors on the U.S. aircraft carrier that supposedly buried bin Laden at sea, they've been busted for using some new synthetic drug called spice. And 49 of 64 sailors involved in burying bin Laden at sea, burying the Keebler elf or Santa Claus or Easter Bunny at sea or Tooth Fairy at sea, they have now been dishonorably discharged and kicked out of the Navy. So dishonorably discharged men tell no tales. Now, shifting gears over to the police state in England. The police have been caught in the U.S., Canada, Italy, you name it, provocateuring to disrupt peaceful democratic movements. And it's a big controversy now in England where the police have been caught perjuring themselves on the stand, provocateuring groups, you name it. It's all coming out, the different dirty tricks that they use to try to set up different organizations and to also ingratiate themselves, as we just showed you, sexual relationships. And finally, before we go to break with Ron Paul's newest campaign ad devastating the other political whores that he's exposing, we have a report out of MIT where they tell the world that they've developed systems that look through your walls, and the police and military are going to be using this. My friends, in the 16 years that I've been on air, I have seen literally hundreds of government reports admitting that the police already in America, on the ground and on helicopters, are looking through our walls with ground-penetrating radar. The reason you're seeing more and more admissions of this is they're getting ready to turn it loose on the population. We're going to go to break and come back with Peter Schiff after this Ron Paul ad. Stay with us.
Ron Paul, a visionary who predicted the financial crisis, a leader with a plan to solve it. The Paul plan? Balance the budget, cut $1 trillion year one, eliminate 5 federal bureaucracies, end the foreign wars and nation building, rein in the Federal Reserve, pay down the debt, cut taxes to create jobs. Ron Paul, a plan to restore America now.
I'm Ron Paul, and I approve this message.
Now, we are listener-supported, but the sponsors with the online video, apparel, bookstore, video store at Infowars.com, with the PrisonPlanet.tv memberships. It was 4 years ago that listeners started a money bomb. And it started getting a lot of attention. I learned people had pledged several $100,000, so I got behind it like 2 days before. And with that $300,000 we raised, I was able to begin the process to move into a bigger office. Then the next couple money bombs, we were able to build this structure, hire the people, and build the TV studio. And now we've gotten to the point where we need this money bomb, around 20% of the money each year now that we need to run this operation. You know, it takes millions of dollars to run this. People then go, what, you're making millions? No, it takes millions to run this. You understand? That's the cost of running this operation. And we have now, a little bit late this year, launched it. Normally I promote it a month out, but I've been so busy with the nightly news, so busy with special reports, so busy with everything that we're launching this just, like 14 days before. And so you can start donating now if you'd like to. We're going to broadcast 24 hours again with special guests and a lot more coming up on the 3rd. And in fact, they have the date on there. I just finally saw this morning, this site completed this morning, and you can be the first to donate via credit card, PayPal. You can also mail in your donations now. Check it out, InfoWarsMoneyBomb.com, or you can simply go to Infowars.com/moneybomb and start donating today. Okay, we're back. It's Infowars Nightly News. We're about to talk to our next guest on the economy. Then we've got another guest on who's kind of an apologist for the congenital liars of the establishment. But I wanted to just talk about the report we covered last night. $79 trillion of Bank of America derivatives that they're about to have American taxpayers try to pay for and then lecture us all day about our debts. It's just incredible. So it's very important to realize that it's the ultra-rich waging war against the middle class, trying to con basically people that aren't aware of it. So we're going to be talking about Herman Cain's 9999 plan. Where does that extra 9 come in? And with more on the economy and this vital election, we're joined by the CEO of Euro-Pacific Capital, Peter Schiff. He's written an excellent article today that Infowars.com picked up, Business Insider, and many other sites. There's a hidden 9 in Herman Cain's 999 plan. Now, obviously, my criticism is we were always told by the fair taxers they would get rid of the income tax and bring in a sales tax or VAT. Herman wants both, and those 9s can become 15s, 20s, 30s, as they've done in Europe and England. But then there's also the FICA. They're not going to want to get rid of Social Security in there. They're going to keep 9999. But we'll find out the other hidden 9 that Peter Schiff is talking about here today. Peter, thanks for joining us.
Thanks for having me on, Alex.
So you've written this article, but break it down. Where is the hidden 9 in Herman Cain's plan?
Well, the fourth 9 is the 9% payroll tax that is imposed through what is purported to be a 9% corporate income tax. It isn't a 9% corporate income tax. It actually is a gross receipts tax. And embedded in that gross receipts tax is a 9% tax on payrolls. And the only way for businesses to recoup that payroll tax is through their workforce. Now, granted, that represents a reduction of the 15.3% payroll tax that is already in place, where half of it is paid directly by the worker and the other half is paid indirectly by the worker through reduced wages. But the problem is Herman Cain is claiming that he completely gets rid of the payroll tax, that it no longer exists. That's not true. It's still there. It's just not as high. But the problem is the way Herman is selling his plan to the average worker is that he's going to get a reduction in taxes because he's going to have no payroll taxes and he's going to pay just a 9% income tax and a 9% sales tax. If that were really the case, then pretty much all working Americans would get a tax cut under the Herman Cain plan. Of course, if you retired and they were going to get a tax hike. But if you account for the fourth 9, that's not the case. That's a game changer. What the fourth 9 means is that the majority of Americans under the 9999 plan are going to be paying 27% of their income in taxes, which is much higher than a lot of those people pay now. So the only way the plan works, the only way it's revenue neutral, is because you have big tax increases on the middle class and lower class to pay for tax cuts for higher income workers. Now, it is a pro-growth plan. We are going to get more economic growth out of this plan. We're going to get more jobs out of this plan because we're freeing up capital. We're treating capital a lot better. We're going to have more investments. We're going to have more savings. We're going to have more job creation. But we're going to have to pay for that by putting the bill on the middle class. Now, if we don't want to stick the middle class with a bill, then we need to cut government spending dramatically. But the government wants to pretend that we can have a growing economy, all this government spending, and stick the bill on the rich. It ain't going to work, because if we try to put the bill on the high income earners, then we're not going to get the economic growth and we're not going to get the jobs. We're just going to have a lot of government and a lot of unemployment.
Sure, Peter, let me interject here because this is important. I saw the Economic Policy Journal criticize you, why Peter Schiff and Arthur Laffer are wrong about Herman Cain 999, and it's got classic class warfare garbage about you just don't want rich people taxed. But sales taxes, VAT taxes, from what I've researched, just basic economics, that always hits the poorest people. So this makes no sense.
Oh, yeah, and of course, the people that are hurt the most by taxes that discourage job creation are the people who are looking for jobs. So by keeping taxes high on the job creators, we're keeping a lot of people unemployed. They would be better to get a job and then pay some taxes than to be unemployed and pay no taxes. But, Art Laffer is applauding the 999 plan because he doesn't know about the hidden 9. See, I have a difference of opinion. I figured out that there's a fourth 9. Art Laffer doesn't even know that yet. But the thing is, I'm in favor of moving towards a tax structure where people are taxed based on what they spend, not based on what they earn. Now, the standard liberal argument is, well, that's not fair because the rich people don't spend everything like the poor people. They save some of their money. Well, precisely. We want them to save their money because when they save their money, they're delaying gratification for themselves. They're postponing their consumption into the future. When they eventually spend, they'll pay the taxes. But in the meantime, the money is used to grow the economy. It provides capital for businesses.
Sure.
Either the individual who's earning the money uses it to grow his own business, or he loans